Firstly, thank you for obviously making the time to watch this evening. We have two amazing speakers and they're quite hard cases, so I think we're going to have a really good night with them tonight. Just a little bit of housekeeping, just make sure that obviously you stay on mute so that whoever is speaking obviously has the floor. The way the evening will go tonight is we're going to have Jalen Blaze, who is one of our diabetes youth from South, and he's going to be opening up the meeting tonight. Jalen has done amazing things for Diabetes New Zealand, and last year he was awarded a Diabetes New Zealand award. And if you can see behind me, he features on one of our youth flags. Once Jalen has done his start, then Regan's going to start the night off first. And then Emily will follow, and then we will have a question and answer session at the very end. It's entirely up to you if you want to stay for the question and answer time, or if you need to leave, then that's fine. So, yeah, if everybody is ready, Jalen, we will kick it off with you.
Okay. Kia hihiri tātou, tū taua mai I runga, tū taua mai I raro, tū taua mai I roto, tū taua mai I waho. Kia tau ai te mauri ora, ki te katoa, haumi e, hui e, tāi ki e. Sweet.
Thank you, Jalen. That was awesome. All right, Regan, we are off with you first. So the floor is all yours.
Wow, thank you. Kia ora, brother, for that wonderful welcome. My name is Regan Pearce. I am a recovering diabetic. I've been diabetic for 35 years now. So 35 minus my age, that makes me about 22. So no, I was 10 years of age when I was diagnosed as a diabetic. I broke my leg playing rugby and was taken to hospital. I got given a general anesthetic for surgery, and for some unbeknown reason, it triggered a reaction with my immune system. And I then got measles pretty much 12 hours later, and then almost immediately started showing all the symptoms for diabetes: the drinking excessive water, going to the toilet all the time, blurry vision, tired. So mum said to the doctors, given that I was in hospital, hey, I think you need to do a wee blood test on Regan because I think he's got diabetes. And lo and behold, I did. So pretty tough to accept at the age of 10. I'm not sure how old the majority of the youth are that are listening in this evening, but it was probably one of the hardest things that I had ever endured as a 10-year-old. I got given an injection, which I thought was going to fix me straight away with one injection, but was told I was going to have to inject myself for the rest of my life. And now here I am 35 years later, owning it. There's been a lot of trials and tribulations over the years, but where diabetes is now and the advancements that have happened since I was a diabetic, I remember still drawing insulin up in a syringe, this massive needle on the end of a syringe, and having to inject myself with that. The countless finger pricks, my fingers, the end of my fingers are all numb, to what you've got now is incredible. You know, the CGMs, the insulin pumps, still something I haven't taken on as yet. Very eager to, though. I'm pretty keen to get out of the old school and stop injecting myself and jump on one of these continuous glucose monitors, an insulin pump. But obviously, as we all know, not being subsidised, it's a fairly hefty cost that we all have to endure until hopefully will end very soon for all of us. Diabetes. I've never let it stop me from doing anything I've wanted to do, I can assure you, and I want you guys to listen to those words. Do not let it stop you from doing anything you want to do. The only two things it has stopped me from doing were career choices when I was back at school. I grew up in Christchurch, born and raised Cantabrian, and we live very close to the Wigram Air Force Base. And I remember the Skyhawks and the Huey helicopters flying over home, and watching those helicopters. All I wanted to be when I left school was an Air Force helicopter pilot. So I went to the careers day, went to Wigram Air Force Base, got the induction. I applied for the Air Force. It came to the medical, and I got the big, you can't be in the Air Force because you're a diabetic. It absolutely crushed me. And I still remember it to this day, leaving that medical meeting with the medical advisor at the Air Force, telling me that I couldn't be in the Air Force, I couldn't fly helicopters. It absolutely crushed me. But it also made me stronger, because I look at what I missed out on there and to where I am now. I actually look back and laugh, because many years later, I actually achieved my private pilot's license to fly helicopters. So I sort of ended up flying helicopters, just not for the Air Force, because you can, as a type 1 diabetic, if anyone's looking at a career in aviation, you can actually get your private pilot's license, whether it be fixed wing or helicopters. So I went and did it. And it was almost to prove those people wrong that told me that I couldn't be in the Air Force. You can't fly helicopters. I've lived a lot of my life trying to prove people wrong. It's the way I've been brought up. It was the brotherly rivalry that I had with an older brother, competing for everything. It led into all these things that have made me the person I am today, and wanting to prove people wrong. I still remember my diabetic specialist when I was diagnosed, who wasn't the most overly positive person, and it's probably a good thing that he remains nameless. His name was Dr. Peter Moore. He just was one of those people that didn't encourage. I remember him saying, you won't be able to do this, and Regan, you can't do that. And as a diabetic, you won't be able to do this. Well, everything that he told me that I couldn't do, I went and did. I've achieved a lot of great things in my life to date. 7 coast to coasts, which is nearly half the amount that Emily's done. I've lived overseas playing professional rugby. I lived in Italy for 2 years, and I left New Zealand as a 21-year-old to go and do that. And as a diabetic, I thought to myself, how am I going to cope in Italy? Are there any diabetics in Italy? And I tell you what, it was one of the greatest times of my life, being away from my mother, who very much liked to be one of those mothers who liked to protect her son and made sure that, have you had your injection? Have you done a blood test? Still to this day, my mother continuously does that. I go up there at Christmas and she hounds me. Have you done a blood test? Oh, are you low? Do you need something to eat? And here I am off to Italy as a 21-year-old, and I lived there for 2 years and had the greatest time of my life. You're the master of your own fate, and you need to remember that diabetes is such a self-manageable condition that you just need to look after yourself. You need to do your tests. You need to make sure that you're in control of what you can now, because I still remember my mum telling me back when I was a teenager that, Regan, you need to look after yourself now, because if you don't, it's later on in life that it's going to catch up on you. So I'm very grateful that I've lived a very active lifestyle. I'm training for another coast to coast now, going out there to try and beat Emily's record. I've never active, and I see that as a major attribute to my control of my diabetes. I don't sit around on the couch and I don't wait for people to tell me to go and do something. I do what needs doing when it needs to be done. And sometimes you just need to accept what you can't change and change what you can't accept. So I hope those words, I'm not sure how long, Paula, I'm allowed to talk for, but you've got to remember the 3 C's in life: choice, chance, and change. You must make the choice to take the chance if you want anything to change. And I've told myself that because I'm looking at this new insulin pump. I'm looking at, this continuous glucose monitor in my arm to give me a better lifestyle. And that's what I want for you guys too, a better lifestyle. Don't let diabetes stand in the way of anything. Just get out there and do what needs doing when it needs to be done.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so true, Regan, is that, youth today need to hear that they can do anything. Their goals and dreams are only, a short reach away. It'd be quite cool if you just wanted to maybe talk a little bit about your time on track as well.
Yes, Tracked. I'm not sure if you guys were able to watch it. I was in Team Red, and one of the most incredible experiences of my life, to be honest. It was it was a great competition, an extreme game of hide and seek, and how bizarre or how uncanny that two type 1 diabetics were out there absolutely kicking ass. Emily in Team Grey, me in Team Red, and we got out there and we took on this incredible challenge, and we both were rocking the CGMs. We were so reliant on, well, I know I was, that that continuous glucose monitor in my arm, to be able to test quickly, to be able to react to everything quickly. It was a detriment to how well I did and how well I was able to look after myself during Tracked, because it was pretty tough. Like, the days were pretty long. We're out there trying to escape from being tracked, and putting in some big kilometers, big hills, big terrain, and big competitors like Emily and Simon, who, damn it, beat us in the semi-final. But that's okay. I've accepted it. I've moved on. And I'm sure Emily can touch a little bit on it too.
That's awesome. Emily, the floor is yours now if you wanna have a talk to us.
Well, kia ora everyone. I'm Emily. Thanks, Regan. That was great. Like, so my story's a little bit different. And I come from a family that has a lot of type 1 diabetes on both sides, cousins, uncles, aunties. And I did not get diagnosed. I'm 32 years old, and I didn't get diagnosed until I was 20. And my diagnosis wasn't really your typical one, where you kind of go downhill, lose half your body weight, and end up in emergency department pretty quickly, or that's how a lot of my family were diagnosed back in the day. And my cousin was of a similar vein to Regan, playing rugby, injured, got glandular fever, and then got diagnosed with type 1. So for me, I'd been working overseas, so I kind of lead a bit of a random busy life, but I'm really into multisport and adventure racing. It's my passion, but I also love everything in the outdoors. So ever since I was a kid, I've played lots of competitive sport, team sport as well, but then morphing into multisport from a young age, and was in the New Zealand Tri Academy, and just was always kind of thrashing my body, so was always quite fit. I didn't drink any alcohol, and I know it's really hard for working a lot with youth. I know alcohol and diabetes isn't a great combination for many reasons, and that's something I suppose we'll touch on a bit later on. But just to get back to it, so I got diagnosed a bit randomly. So I got some infections while doing some canoe trip guiding in Canada with some youth, and I got this abscess that you could fit half your finger into, basically, on my lower back. And I had strep throat and bacterial fixture under my fingernail, all kind of in one go. And I'd been racing in South Africa, and I'd been in Nepal, and I'd been kind of everywhere in this kind of 8-month window of kind of chaotic travel and fun. And at the time, I just was on heavy antibiotics to get over the abscess. But when I got back to New Zealand, I had real bad gut issues, and I'd been mountaineering or climbing in Nepal for a couple of months before that. And it was actually a GP that was quite onto it at the time, and was like, "Oh, Emily, that's weird. You don't often get sick. You don't get infections like this. So why don't we do a blood test?" And my blood glucose levels were maybe like 19. So then I went to hospital feeling pretty normal, actually. And then so I got diagnosed at the time, and they were a little bit perplexed, because they're like, "Oh, you won't have insulin resistance because you do quite a lot." So the endocrinologist was a little bit interested in that. And so I had a MODY test, and that came back with nothing. And the antibodies at the time weren't that receptive for the ones that they were testing. So it was all a bit interesting. But at the end of the day, I went on insulin and I felt a lot better. And I have been on insulin since. So would say type 1, but still kind of a bit interesting having studied physiology, kind of what goes on there. And I was super lucky, I suppose. My personality, so hearing Regan's story is quite similar. The doctors were quite negative for me initially. Like when they got diagnosed, like, oh, Emily, you won't be able to keep doing what you do. You won't be able to keep competing. You'll have to change all that. Your lifestyle, you work lots of these different work contracts, but you probably have to, what I'd say, like, routine, be more routine, change it up, be a lot more consistent. And I was the same as Regan. I was like, oh, nah, I don't really want to know. Diabetes is going to come along for the ride. Like, I need my body to be in tip-top shape if I want to get the most out of it, which I do, and not just sport, but in life. So I was super motivated, like I always have been in health, because I suppose in my family, we've had lots of deaths, cancer and things I suppose you can't control, but it's made me quite, like, I've never drunk alcohol. I'm just like probably the goody good in the sense of, like, you're trying to do everything you can to look after yourself because you don't want to die young, but you just want to make the most of it. So I rejected really what they said, and I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm going to go out and do what I usually do, and diabetes is going to come along for the ride. And it hasn't been easy. I'm not saying that. There's been lots of like working it out, but being an analytical person, I was really vigilant from the start at looking for patterns. So I used to write down everything I ate and what exercise I was doing and how much insulin I was giving myself to look for patterns kind of before I had access to better technology. What is interesting in New Zealand, which I find a bit frustrating really, is that when you're motivated and you're doing really well and your HbA1c is good, you actually aren't often eligible to be funded for better technology. It goes to the people that aren't, which fair enough, we need to empower those people. But with that said, because my lifestyle is quite, I'll be doing contract work down in Fiordland in the biodiversity sector, and I'll be running events where I'll be running around all day, and then training a lot and doing lots of different sporting codes. I personally like to not be connected to a pump and have everything out of me, because running around and surfing and diving and climbing, I prefer the injection still. But in saying that, I think it gives a lot more, having the Freestyle Libre lately, it just gives you a lot more information, which means that and it's so much easier to do than the finger pricks, that it means that even if you're not always that motivated to be testing, there's no real excuse to not be. And I think it's easier for everybody, especially for youth, when you've got parents with young kids getting diagnosed. It's a no-brainer. So I'm super passionate about hopefully getting Pharmac over the line. And I was really lucky because 6 months after I was diagnosed, I applied to be the New Zealand Young Leader for diabetes, and I thought, I felt a bit of a fraud, because I thought, I've only been diagnosed, there's people that have been diagnosed like Regan for 20 years, 30 years, like, what do I know? But I thought I'd give it a shot, and I actually managed to get that position, which I was absolutely over the moon. And I went to Vancouver to the World Diabetes Congress in 2015 and met 250 other young leaders from around the world. And it was just amazing to be surrounded by people, I suppose, that were in a similar situation, but were doing awesome, amazing, diverse things with their lives. And from lots of different cultures, so the cultural differences, learning about how so hard even to get insulin in parts of Africa. And it was just really humbling and inspiring and motivating, and it was a really awesome opportunity for me in the early stages of being diagnosed to have that kind of passion and fire. And I mean, the motivation was always there, but it was really awesome. And so I suppose, like, coming from that and having working with youth, I'd really, I suppose, encourage you to, if there's ever an opportunity of a camp or any of these kind of positions, like a leadership position, to really give it a go, apply. You've got nothing to lose. Like, yes, you might have taken up a bit of time, but those skills can be used when getting jobs. Like, it's just great to put yourself out there. I think that's probably the bottom line. Like, just put yourself out there. You never know what can happen. And even if you don't get it, it's the people you'll meet and the experiences that you have and the learnings that you'll get out of it that are super important. And so I suppose that was really amazing. And I, to this day, so I did a few campaigns with Diabetes New Zealand and did some projects overseas, and it was really interesting to learn how the different levels of care and different kind of regions are different. Personally, like down where I am, I actually think, you know, if you're not self-motivated, it's actually quite hard here. We don't have the best services really, like in Central Otago. I don't personally feel like so we've done quite a bit with youth, well, a little bit with youth in this area, and it's been really neat to connect the youth together and just to know that you're not kind of alone in this. But like Regan, I would just reiterate that diabetes should come along for the ride, and it is going to take a bit of effort and a bit of monitoring. But on the flip side of that, knowledge is power. So if you know what your levels are, then you can go out and do these things. And I probably get a lot of people that ask me kind of like, oh my gosh, how do you, because I have raced kind of all around the world in New Zealand doing things like adventure racing and multi-sport, which require, for the person that's not a diabetic, it's really hard on their body with a sleep deprivation and just numerous days with a physical and mental load. And they're always quite surprised of how I can manage my diabetes. And I'm not saying it's perfect. Like, we've had some bad lows along the way and some insulin pens crushed and drowned in buckets while working in parts of remote Costa Rica. Like, there's been some funny stories, you know. But I think the bottom line is that with good monitoring and being vigilant, and probably my biggest thing that I would tell people though is that when we want to, a lot of the time we're really striving to have that really tight control. But when we're doing, you know, if you want to do things where you're exercising, say, or going out and maybe doing a ski, whatever it might be that you enjoy to do, in my experience, it's only, I mean, again, it's not a rule. It's just what I've found is that to allow yourself to be maybe a little bit higher, have that buffer zone, just acutely high, not chronically high. We know, I mean, the kids probably get bombarded with all the information all the time about the consequences to your health if you are chronically high, and, you know, they get that fear in them. But I think to allow you, if you're a little bit high, to have that buffer and not be stressed the whole time and be drawn to the technology the whole time, looking, worrying, and that it's drawing away from the experience you're having. I suppose the point, I would make is that you're only going to go, the only physiological way you can go low as a diabetic is if you over-inject insulin. So if it means that you might enjoy yourself just that little bit better and that you can live in the moment a bit more, I personally, am quite reserved with my insulin intake sometimes when I'm doing things, and very adaptable as well. I know a lot of people stress and get into, you know, but I would always say that you're the one that knows your body best. Like, I'm sure there's amazing medical professionals out there in the diabetic space, but I would say that everybody's different and that you know your body better than anyone else. So if you feel like you need to change your insulin dose, or to try something new, I would say go ahead and do it. Like, don't ever be scared to try something new, because it just might be something that makes your life just that much better, you know. Like, I mean, I don't know, I suppose examples that I'm quite dynamic with my insulin loading a lot of the time, and I have to be for my lifestyle. But I just find that having the confidence to trust myself and my own intuition, and that's probably something that diabetes has given me. Like, I can, there's a lot of gifts it can give you rather than negatives. Just like reiterating what Regan said, there's a lot of things that diabetes can give you, that and that confidence and that knowing yourself. I think you know your body a lot better, you're in tune with it. I mean, in saying that, sometimes lows have always had different symptoms for me depending on what I'm doing, but in all, it's made me a lot more self-aware in lots of other spaces. So I'd say that it's a positive, you know. But I mean, reiterating what Regan said, it definitely doesn't have to, if it comes along for the ride, it definitely doesn't have to stop you from doing anything that you want to do. And I think we're past that anyway. I think a lot of the youth know that. I think it's just that struggle of, I don't know, in my experience working with them, I know, you know, I don't know how old we are in this group, but that transition from being really, and Regan touched on this as well, with having lots of parental support and then graduating, you know, into where you might be off to university or boarding school, or just into that early adulthood kind of stage or later teen stage of life where you're having to take more responsibility for your diabetes. And I understand it can be really hard because you may have had them amazing support, or maybe not, from your parents, your whānau, like, to help you with that. But you know, I suppose you just really implore all those parents and things to really try their best to let their kids be working it out and be supporting them as much as you can. But I suppose, yeah, being able to let them take the reins, and sometimes they might fail a little bit and it'll be scary, but it's the only way they're going to learn is if they can take the reins themselves and navigate it. And I suppose with youth we work with, it's really hard. I can understand when you are going through that, and especially just the phase of uni, I suppose, the early years, and or school, you're wanting to go out and maybe go to your first party and things, there's all these questions, and it is quite tricky. I can really empathize with, well, it's hard when I have never drunk, but I can imagine it would be really hard, thinking that you're different and not being able to, wanting to enjoy yourself. But it's difficult, but it's really cool that there's a lot of knowledge out there now, and there's a lot of people, and so it comes back to that, if you ever get an opportunity to meet other diabetics, go to a camp, get involved, do some work with Diabetes New Zealand and other youth groups, or even just join a youth group, I just think you never know where it could lead, and some really cool things have happened. But enough about me prattling. So back to the tract. So I was a little bit gutted. The one thing I will say is that I did have my Freestyle Libre and like Regan the whole time, and they didn't even mention that I was diabetic. And I thought, well, I don't know, maybe it's not that important and it's not sexy enough, but I was a bit gutted that they didn't even really show that much about the technology either, because the cameraman knew the battle that we're having with trying to get more of this continuous and advanced technology. Well, it's not advanced, it's really just the basics really, but this technology funded, and it would have been such a good way that a lot more New Zealanders could be educated. And just you never know, again, it's about talking about it through talking and conversation and connections is where change happens easier, if more people were activated. So it was a little bit guttering with that. I would say that's one thing about the show. I was a little bit like, oh, come on, it would have been quite good. Obviously they've only got a very short amount of, they've got lots and lots of footage and a very short amount of time to portray stuff. So but like Regan, I thought it was a pretty neat opportunity. It was pretty I would probably use the word random, in terms of if you'd told us me and Simone 2 years or 1 year ago that we'd be on a TV show, we would have probably laughed at you. Like, we're just like, oh no. But to have that opportunity again, it was just about putting yourself out there and saying, my twin brother's friend basically had just given us a little ad saying, oh, this looks like a bit of you, like, why don't you apply? And again, I suppose a lot of people thought, oh, nah, probably not, and so we thought that too, like, there's thousands of people out there that could be suitable, they could want, but if you don't have your name in the ring or your hat in the ring, then you don't know, do you? So it was pretty awesome. We didn't expect it, but we did end up getting on, and it was another one of those kind of life enriching experiences where, yeah, you put yourself out there, you have this experience which is different to anything you've experienced before. You learn a lot about yourself, your teammate. Simone was really good with me because I think it was actually a really good learning curve for her. And this is another thing that in my personal experience, I'm not great with. I kind of, I'm not good at talking about that I maybe have diabetes, or empowering others to know what to do if I am having a low. Like, I tend to think, oh, I'll just, you take it all on yourself. You want to be self-reliant. You don't want others to have a burden. And so for me personally, it's something I've had to kind of learn along the way. I mean, it's only been 12 years, but I'm getting slightly better at it, about, letting others know and giving others the tools to help me if it's needed. Because a lot of the time I'm like, oh no, I've got it, I'll just, and I think for Simone in that situation with tract, it was good for her to learn the complexities of the disease and how much mental load it takes on all of us to be thinking the whole time, how much insulin's on board, when have I last eaten, what have I got coming up, all those things. It's kind of subconscious now, but it's still there. And I think it's just something to acknowledge that it is hard. And so, and that's all right to say that. And it is sucky sometimes, it's not that you can put a paintbrush over it all and just say, oh yeah, it's fine, I get through. Like, there's definitely days where you wish you didn't have diabetes, definitely. And that's absolutely okay to feel, because there's a lot of worse things in life, but if you could not have it, I'm sure we all would say, yep, that'd be great if I just would have a pancreas that would work itself. But yeah, in that way, yes, tract was a neat experience, and I hoped it could showcase to people, if they did know. Obviously in Regan's case, they didn't know I was diabetic. I don't know if many people even knew I was, but it was good to walk the walk and lead by example, which I try to do in life most of the time anyway. It's not like I'm just a human like all of us. I'm not I mean, yeah, I've done some fun things and some things that I'm proud of, but I don't really like. I love connecting with people, but I'm not very good at being like, oh, this is me. I mean, we are every human's got a lot of different. They're very multifaceted and really interesting. So I find like it's just neat to have walked the walk and shown people that if they did know that diabetics, are very capable of doing, everything that the average other person can do. For lack of a better word. But anyway, that's enough of me. I'm prattling along, but I'll give it back to Regan.
That's awesome advice, Emily, because I guess I've got a 12-year-old that is type 1 and he was diagnosed at the age of 6, and trying not to be that helicopter parent can be quite hard. But as you say, that as they get older, that you do need to kind of unwrap the cotton wool and let them learn, and learn the hard way sometimes is the best way. And they need to look after themselves and know that they will make mistakes along the way, but as a parent you're obviously always going to be there for them as well. But also another point you touched on, it was a real shame that the show really didn't sort of encompass that you both were type 1. That would have been really, I think, an eye-opener for a lot of people to have actually known. Obviously they did briefly touch on it I think at the very start of the program, Regan. But it was a bit of a missed opportunity, unfortunately. But as you say, obviously recording and time was probably against them. But I mean, hopefully in the future, as diabetes is is more widely spread, known, and a lot more people are educated out there, that it will start to really open up doors and get people thinking about it.
Absolutely.
More. So.
But it was probably also the fact that we both, if we had, unfortunately, like if we'd been probably had worse control or something more major had happened, it's like that ironic thing of like the more dramatic the better. So if one of us had a really bad low, which we'd never want to do or experience, they would have been all over it like a hot rash. Then it suddenly would have been, oh yes, this is the diabetic. So in some ways, you could look at from the other side, it's like, well, it just shows that how you can manage well, and like we did pretty well, but then on the flip side, that meant that there was nothing interesting for them to latch onto, which is TV for you, really. But hopefully in a general sense, it just got more kids, even on a broader past diabetic sense, it's just like, adventures at the doorstep. Like, I hope that more young people just think, it'd be great to, especially in New Zealand, we've got so much of it, so much easy access and amazing adventurous terrain to explore, that more kids could explore and learn more about themselves and about others. And something I'm really passionate on the side about as well.
Yeah, no, 100%. Regan, is there anything else you want to say or share before we open up the floor for questions?
Yeah, I guess the big thing, having listened to Emily, is, there's always good and bad days. It's probably something I didn't touch on, but, the good and bad days, it's just part of being a diabetic, and sometimes it's hard to, remove yourself or take away what happens in a bad day. But it's just a matter of accepting that, when you have a low, or when your HbA1c is a little bit higher than what you wanted it to be, it's about what you can do to recover and to overcome it, and not dwell on it, because that's what I did a lot when I was in my youthful years as a diabetic. I used to, oh no, my HbA1c is going to be bad. What does that mean for me now? Like, what does it mean later? I did sort of dwell on the bad days a little bit more. So, don't be discouraged by your bad days. Be grateful of your parents. I know we've touched on it, that I had a mum that just, was so protective of me. And I still remember the day that she said to me, I wish I could take diabetes off you. I wish it was me and not you, because I was this 10-year-old boy that should be discovering about lollies and chocolate, not discovering about how to draw back a bloody syringe full of insulin and testing my blood sugar levels. So, team, be grateful for your parents, but also remember it's what you can do to become a better diabetic. And just learn good lessons, not bad ones. Emily, you get emotional.
100% agree with that, Regan. That's really cool advice. I guess now we can open up the floor if anybody has any burning questions that they would like to ask Emily or Regan. There is down the bottom of the screen a little raise your hand icon. So it might be easier if you just want to click on the raise your hand icon, and then we can obviously go around and get your questions answered. Okay, if no one's got a burning question to start with, I would love to hear from both of you. Where to now? Like, what other adventures have you got in store, or what are you up to next?
Emily, you go first.
Chantal's got her hand up though, but okay, we'll just go really fast. I've always got a million things on the go, typical me. But I am actually leaving next week to go and be a part of another TV show randomly. No, I shouldn't say randomly. It's not. This is using skills. Can't say what it is, but it'll be in the outdoors for up to 2 months. Getting to pack raft and do survival camps, whatever that means. Do some cool rope work and some mountaineering and some running around the hills, following some Americans around and being their safety guide. So that'll be quite fun, getting well paid to do something that you enjoy. That's always a win. And I would say that to the kids actually is all about having curiosity and trying to being open to things. I think is like a really big thing, to just put yourself out there a lot. I know it's hard, and it's to write an email, to look someone in the eye and ask them for something you may not know, you may not back yourself, but it's something that I've had to learn over the years to do, and it's always had I've always had amazing times from it. But and in terms of sporting, well, as you know, Regan's doing the coast to coast. That's really awesome. I'm not doing the coast to coast this year. I'm doing a 200-kilometer adventure run with about 16,000 meters of elevation, so and trying to do it in less than 60 hours, be the first girl to complete it. But my knees aren't liking me at the moment, so we'll see how it goes. But so that's me. That's me. That's next kind of immediate things coming up. But I'll let Regan go.
Wow, Emily, it's pretty damn awesome, to be honest, that event. Just quickly from me, training for another coast to coast coming up, obviously February next year. And can I say it? A little bit of an exciting TV opportunity again, offshore, this one. Can't say much more than that. I've probably said too much already, but something very, very exciting that has been generated from my time on track. So watch this space.
Exciting, but I have a question for you then. Are you going to be on the same side, or are you going to be on the other side? Because I've told you honestly, I'm on the other side. I'm on the other side now. I'm not. This one. Are you going to be a contestant on this thing?
Yes.
Oh, very intriguing then. We'll have to watch what Regan gets up to. Offshore as well is even more exciting. I reckon it's I'm just going to put it out there. I reckon it's whatever those not celebrity thing is. I don't watch TV. This is a hard thing. Treasure Island. Treasure Island things, like the one where they go out and do those little challenges, and
Emily,
they're voting people off.
I've said too much already.
No, you haven't.
It's just a wee teaser. Just a wee teaser for the youth. It's about the youth and knowing that you gotta carve your path and take what opportunities you can with both hands.
Well, that's really cool to know that we'll be seeing both of you on the screen sometime, hopefully soon, or next year, obviously, if filming is only going to be this year. Chantal, you've got a question. If you want to unmute, fire away.
Yes, I was going to say The Bachelor.
Oh, look, I don't think my wife would be too happy about that if I went on The Bachelor, but I'd give it a crack. But no.
I was going to say thank you both so much for coming on. I'm sure this is really great. I'm sure for my teenager, and it'd be great for more to see this and hear from you both. You're both very inspirational. And thank you, Paula, too, for organising this. I just had a question. what do you do when you feel really overwhelmed by diabetes? I'm sure you don't get it as often, but remembering back to when you were perhaps a teenager or a young adult, what did you do when you felt really overwhelmed? What sort of coping strategies did you do?
Emily.
Why do I have to go first? I was like, Chantal, great question. Great question. That is something I was thinking about. But I want to ask Regan this actually, because he was younger than me. I mean, I felt like my three kind of advantages, in which I could acknowledge, was that I'd done a nitty-gritty degree in physiology, like an honours degree. So I had a cellular level of what was happening, which I probably took for granted and didn't realise that actually a lot of people, when they're diagnosed, well, especially the kids, probably have no idea. They're learning, but of what's happening, and that could be probably a blessing or a curse. But for me, it was really, really helpful information. And so when you're feeling overwhelmed, I suppose, but because I am definitely an overthinker, this one will know it. He's like, absolutely overanalytical, super hard on myself. So again, like what Regan was talking about, when you're having a bad day, or your HbA1c's been high because you've been stressing. And for me, usually it's just cortisol levels. Like I'm just typical A type personality. It's just like wanting to perfect everything. So it took me a long time to kind of let go a little bit, but also, accept when you've done something and try. And I suppose the recording was probably quite a good thing for me. But I suppose, again, knowing my body quite well, which I didn't realize, I suppose, at the time. I mean, a lot of people probably do, but being really self-aware was a really good thing too. In the moments when you're overwhelmed, I think breathing first, actually, let's get back to that. Breathing, taking your breath and stopping. And for me, being out in nature is really meditative, but I find like anything, it doesn't have to be thrashing myself like necessarily, but anything from just like going for a walk or just doing something where I can focus on breathing and just have a moment to put things in perspective. Because a lot of the time, it's easy to catastrophize and be like, oh my gosh, this is all, but that cortisol is only making the blood sugars rise more, it's just, and I think, so for me personally, it's about like breathing, stopping for a second and just trying to like clear the mind. And for me, that's like doing a little bit of just gentle exercise, or just being out somewhere, whether just going into the backyard and just being able to sit down and just like, for a few minutes, and just like, okay. And then, I suppose it is, that helps a lot first. Like, that is just definitely like, okay, right. And usually, after that time, it's kind of like slightly clearer, and I can kind of more, well, it's not even rationalizing, but be a bit more like, okay, what are some things I can do right now in the moment that is going to make it, what are some simple, basic things I can do that will make the situation better? And sometimes it can be, as simple as just like making yourself a cup of tea, drinking a little bit more. For me, that's only one thing. I'm oftentimes quite dehydrated, and I find that with diabetes, I use these like electrolyte drops, because I think like that doesn't help as well. For me personally, this is all just like personal stuff, but like drinking a little bit, like, and then I suppose talking to somebody as well, like having someone that I might be able to nut it out with. They don't have to necessarily have diabetes, or that doesn't necessarily have to, it's just someone, I suppose. I don't necessarily like to burden someone with it all, but I definitely feel like the more that you can share, and you've got great people in your life that can hold space for whatever emotion or whatever thing that you're going through, is really important. And I think that connection is something that I also, with the youth that I work with, I just think it's really great to have those people in your life, whether they be adults, friends and peers, but just people that you do feel like you can connect with, and that they understand you, and that if you've got something, that's oftentimes quite powerful when you can share it. And I think I found a lot of the time at the start I'd just take it all on myself and be like, I've got to fix it, I've got to do something. But that sharing with others, and it's just really, I suppose, for me, just trying to like clear the mind a little bit, have that space to just like take a breath. But they're not revolutionary things. They seem quite simple, but I think just putting them in practice takes effort and intentional. You got to be intentional with it. It's easy to just kind of blast through and just be like, oh well, that was really, and then not realizing that you're doing a half-ass effort on many things when you're still in that state of kind of overwhelm and frantic. And then the diabetes just gets worse. So it's just that kind of negative feedback loop you've got to kind of break. And it's being really self-aware from the time that it's starting to get a bit, on top of me. And writing lists as well. I'm quite a one for like just writing things down as well. It's quite helps me personally, like be like, okay, right, what is it that you need to achieve or get done, or whether it be diabetes related or not. But that also helps as well. Sorry, I'm rambling. I'll turn that off.
That was an answer, Chantal. That was an answer. That one.
Yeah. Can you top that one, Regan?
Well, look, to be honest, like I can put myself in a circumstance that took place. I was in the sixth form back at high school, which what's that now? Year 12, and it was coming towards the end of the year, and we were able to choose activities that you wanted to do for your end of year activity. And me being me, I chose scuba diving. So the night before, I was about to go and do my PADI scuba diving course at Morehouse Ave in Christchurch. Got the phone call from the careers leader at Boys High, who basically rang to say, sorry, Regan, you can't do it. You're a type 1 diabetic. And that, again, it just was like a shock. It was like, what do you mean I can't do it? Coping mechanism for me, and everyone's different. It's because the first thing you want to do is you want to rebel. You want to do something that you shouldn't do, because it's what your body is trying to, it's mentally what your body's trying to accept, and you want to eat bad things. For me, it was exercise. Like, I remember getting the news and going outside, and we had this punching bag up on the tree outside, and I put the old gloves on, and I just went hammer and tong on this punching bag. I went for a run, came back, and obviously felt a lot better. Exercise, I believe, is one of the big coping mechanisms you can use. But as I say, everyone's different. But for me personally, I think exercise, whether it be a walk, whether it be going for a run, whether it be, jumping on the punching bag and just letting all your frustrations out, because if you don't, things start to bottle. And as you know, when things start to bottle, things overflow. And that's what is probably one of the toughest things you can have happen, is when things get to a head and they explode and they overflow. Crazy things can happen. So I just wanted to touch on, if anyone out there listening needs a coping mechanism and it's just an ear, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook Messenger. I have got no problem, Paula, with anyone reaching out to me and asking me a question, or just wanting to talk, or just wanting to share something. Please get in touch, because if I can be a coping mechanism for the youth, I'm keen to do it.
Absolutely, sorry, I'll say, yeah, absolutely, that's for me too. That's great, Regan.
Yeah, that's really awesome to know that. Thanks, guys. We'll certainly note that down. Anybody else got any questions that they want to ask Regan or Emily?
I've got a question for Emily, Paula.
Yep, absolutely. Fire away.
Emily, I believe that during track you had a low, and it was, I believe, quite a bad one. What did you do to overcome that low, and what happened during it, please?
Well, you need to tell me first what one, because
The Castle Hill one.
That's bad, isn't it? Because there wasn't that many, but
The Castle Hill one.
Oh, the Castle Hill. And then you gave me some peanut butter or was I trying to eat your peanut butter or your sandwich? Or you came round. See, that's great, kids. Like, what you need, I know I'm a bit of the food police here, but like when people are having low, they often give you all the sugary stuff that you just like, but then like when you're coming out of it, it's quite nice to have something more substantial so that it kind of lasts a bit longer. Well, I find that, So this guy was really onto it. I loved it, actually. They both came around. The other Regan did too. He's a lovely man, that man. With a peanut butter. I think I gave him actually a whole thing of peanut butter, like as a thank you, because he was quite dark, that I'd eaten like half his 300 or 200 thing of pig's peanut butter, because I just went to town as it was anyway. I would have done it even if I hadn't had a low. Sorry, I love peanut butter. But it's just like, or any nut butter. But then, yeah, you gave me some Sammys, didn't you? You came around with
the old snakes, the old confectionery snakes, which, because me, when I have a low, obviously I like to throw in a bit of glucose first and then back it up with obviously something a little bit longer lasting. But my go-to when I'm having a low, and again, everyone's different, the Sour Squirms Confectionery Company snakes. They are outstanding. I don't know if anyone else has those when they have a low, but they hit the spot immediately. I have about 4 or 5 of those bad boys, and then throw some toast or a peanut butter sandwich, because yes, I took around my Pix peanut butter in a teaspoon, and Emily basically just stuck her whole hand in the jar and basically ate half the jar of my peanut butter that I never got back.
Excuse me, I did. I gave, well, maybe you, sorry, I gave it to the other Regan. I gave it to him. I
Oh,
gave
so
it
he's got it.
1 kg of, it's long gone now, but no, that's good though. That's good to have stuff on you all the time. I think that's something I actually will, well, like I need to get better at as well, because I kind of just off I go, and having done it for quite a while, and kind of, you know, you're not guessing, but you're just kind of, I suppose, past experiences have built up, and you're like, right, okay, I'm going for a 4 hour or whatever, and you've eaten X amount beforehand, and oftentimes, you know, I don't always love to be eating all the time on the go, but it's just always having, I have over the years, through trial and error, got better at taking enough, not just emergency things. I don't often go low out there, but just in case, like having, yeah, I mean, I have over the years, but it's definitely one thing that I have to get better, yeah, at taking stuff with me all the time, because I get a little bit slack, really, which is not good. Like, it's not saying, I mean, yeah, I'm pretty, but I get, I work a few events, and so I've had heaps of these gels, which I usually hate. People use them when they're athletes anyway, and they are really readily, you know, you can easily swallow, get it down. It's quite, I always have these in my little like kit that I take with me, which makes things easier too. Basically a liquid form. If you liquefied a delicious squirmy snake, this is what it would. Probably not as good though. Not as good, damn it.
Paula, if it's okay, I'd like to randomly pick someone that's listening in to tell me what their go-to food is when they have a low, and it is Steph Foster. Come at us. When you're having a low, what's your go-to?
So it's actually my daughter Hayley that's the diabetic.
Okay.
Hang on, I'll try and put the video on. So my daughter's actually the diabetic. She was diagnosed 2 weeks before her 12th birthday, and that was in 2021. So she's only had it for a little while, and we're still learning. But she actually, her go-to is juice box.
Oh.
And followed up with a Pam's muesli bar.
Good work. Nice.
The sour worms that you were talking about, Regan, gave me a tingly tongue.
You might just have to stick to the old snakes then, or the dinosaurs.
I think so. But now that I'm on speaker anyway, I'd just like to thank you both, Regan and Emily, for an awesome inspiring speech from both of you, actually. And yeah, it'd be awesome to see more of this and more youth getting on board. We're from the top of the North Island, up near Kaitaia, and we actually don't have much in the way of youth groups up here for diabetics, or not that we have been made aware of as yet. Hayley was lucky enough to be invited by the Northern District Health Board to go on the Ataka Thompson out of Paihia. That was the beginning of this year, which was amazing. She really enjoyed that. But yeah, there's just not a lot out there. And when I've asked about, you know, groups with the diabetes team up here, nothing seems to come of it. So it'd be awesome if we could get something together up here.
If I can just jump in there, Steph. Chantal, who is actually on the talk tonight, is the youth coordinator for the Auckland area. We do have a number of youth coordinators, obviously, around the country, but certainly we could do with a whole lot more, because yeah, there's only a few of us spread around the the country. But Chantal may be able to be in contact with you just to let you know what sort of events and stuff are run in Auckland. She does some amazing camps and amazing activities in Auckland, but obviously there is a distance between Auckland and Kaitaia as well, which makes it quite hard. But yeah, there certainly is support out there, but yeah, we just need it in a lot more areas.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks so much, guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Steph.
Lena, you've got your hand up for a question.
Not so much a question, but a thank you. Thank you to both of you for being such a big inspiration to our young people with type 1 diabetes. I'm a parent, but Emily, a thank you to you, because we met you when you did the cycle around New Zealand when you were doing the IDF program.
Oh, yes, I was like thinking, oh, Lena looks really familiar. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
We weren't very far into my son's diagnosis. I think we might have been about a year in.
Yeah,
and it was awesome to meet you, and as a parent see that he can still get out there and do stuff. We're now 9 years in, so we know what he can do. But in those early days, it was really cool to meet you and see you doing that big cycle with Jerry around the country. So I just wanted to say thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. That's awesome to know. I always feel like I'm not doing enough. That's my problem. I'm like, oh, there's so much to do, and I get overwhelmed, like says Chantal, with many things in life. I was like, I just always feel like there's just so much to do, and it's there's a lot of passions push me in lots of different directions, and I'm like, oh, am I not doing enough? But then hopefully it's like leading by example, that you're just hopefully showing more than having to preach to others, you know, like that what is possible, which is quite a neat. Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, well, keep on doing what you're doing. It's absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
Anybody else got any other questions or anything that they want to say? Chantal, back to you.
I wanted to ask as well, just for a bit of ideas for the youth. I hope they're still all listening. What are a couple of your favorite breakfasts that help sustain you throughout the day? Especially if you're doing sport that day. Regan, you can go first.
Oh, okay. Righto. Well, you know what? Mine from a very young age, porridge. Absolute go-to for me, whether it be an event day or race day, whether it be a training day. During the week, obviously, it takes a bit of time to make porridge, and I've got a bit of an early start for work. So my go-to during the week is good old Wheat Bix. I have 8 Wheat Bix. If any of the youth can beat 8 in the morning, then please let me know. But Wheat Bix during the week, and then definitely pre-event or pre-training in the weekend. Saturday, Sunday, my girls love it as well, as good old porridge with a wee spoonful of honey, cream clover, not manuka, a bit of a cream clover fan myself, and get that in there with that hot porridge, melts the honey, obviously within moderation, hitting the right insulin levels, and a bit of blue milk on top, good to go. Emily, are you still your
Emily, you're next.
2-minute noodles?
Sorry, I'm laughing because it's like really real descriptive. I love that. We've got the Pam's Muesli bar and the blue top milk and the clover honey. Well, yeah. Call me a little bit of a foodie. I'm probably like not bougie, but I do like to eat like lots of homegrown, lots of organic, lots of but yeah, a bit of been brought up in a family of very good at gardening and very good at, but so I actually like savory. I like omelette and salad leftovers and like from the night before, but I do also like to make this like little bircher, which is pretty easy because we've got this real neat like fresh grocer down the road that you can just buy all your like seeds and nuts and bulk stuff in jars, which I love. But I put like a lot of like cacao and maca powder, which is like all pretty good for the endocrine system. It just kind of levels you out a little bit more, but a little bit of protein powder sometimes, some oats in there too, some chia, some walnuts, sunflower, pumpkin, whatever's kind of like, well, they're not necessarily all in season, but with nuts, whatever's kind of going. shells and walnuts put in there, and it's quite long lasting. But I soak it. I put some dates, so my little like sweetener in there can be dates, and then sometimes the milk in there, sometimes just water, mix it all up, and it just sits overnight. And then in the morning, I can put some Greek yogurt on it, or yeah, it's probably just Greek yogurt really. And sometimes have it warm, sometimes have it cold. But yeah, it takes a little bit more prep time. But I just think pimping out your porridge is a bit better, because if I just have porridge, I get real hungry like an hour later. It's like a disappearing food. But then, and even more so with all those sugary cereals, that's even more so. I'll be like hungry in an hour and my levels are through the roof personally. So yeah, I prefer to just have a bit of a slower acting, and they've got all the goodness in them that usually means that I don't have to eat for hours and hours actually, which is quite good. Yeah, but I do eat like a baby dinosaur anyway, so yeah, I suppose the volume for me is quite high usually. But yeah, I try to have like less kind of processed high GI foods, because I just find that just like woof, my levels are up a bit. And with a lot of celiacs in the family, I don't eat a lot of wheat, but I don't mind. So the old wheat bix, like yeah, I don't often have those, but that's all right. Yeah, each their own. Yeah, so I just pimp out the porridge. Yeah, it's kind of like a similar porridgey thing, but it's just a bit more pimped out with a few more things that are keep you going a bit longer. Yeah, and dates are the sweetener usually. Got honey sometimes off the farm.
Washed down with an elderflower kombucha, I'm guessing too.
But you are what you eat, Regan. You know this. You know this. I say that to all diabetics though. Like, we can't always be perfect and like absolutely everything in moderation. But yeah, it's pretty good though if you can eat really well, and like more veggies good. Like yeah, I don't know. I just think of the more you look after yourself, the more you'll be able to go. So definitely, if you can be vigilant with nutrition, it's good, and your body will love you and thank you for it later on. I hope. Yeah, I hope.
Jalen Blaze, you've got a question if you want to unmute yourself.
It's me. Sorry, he didn't save the whole thing because his friend came around to skateboard, so they're out skateboarding.
Oh,
I
nice.
just wanted to say thank you for it's all right. Thank you for coming on. I've been listening the whole time, and I love the banter that you guys have between each other. It's quite funny. I didn't have any questions. It was just I remember when the track was first coming up, and there was a hint of a type 1 diabetic on there, and it went crazy on Facebook. They're like, "Hey, have you seen it? There's a diabetic." And I think it was sad that Emily, you mentioned, like, because that's what drew us to watch it. We wouldn't have watched it otherwise. But like when Ninja Warrior had a type 1 on there, and we watched it because they were on there, just to see and emphasize on that you can do anything. You know, show them that kids can do anything. It doesn't hold them back. But yeah, thanks for going on the show. It's not something I personally would do. But it was awesome to watch the hard yards that you guys put in. It was brilliant. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I guess too, you had a really good relationship with the other contestants, because Regan, you were obviously quite close with Gabe and Riley, who won the show. I was a bit sort of conflicted because Gabe and Riley went to school with my son Caleb, and Caleb has gone on some of the adventures with Gabe and Riley. But then the same thing is when I heard that there was going to be a type 1 on the show, because at that stage I didn't know that Emily had type 1 diabetes. I was kind of sitting on the fence as to who I wanted to win. So you know, it was great to watch all he is, but it was great to see Gabe and Riley take it out as well.
Emily, don't be upset that Paula messaged me saying that she wanted us to win. It's okay. You know, you and Simone do all right.
But these guys need to know the realities of TV. You know, like, I mean, a lot of it, we were lucky in that show that it all got edited pretty kindly, and a lot of that did happen, just not in that order. It wasn't too, you know, you're talking to someone who's quite cynical about these reality things, you know, like how much of it's real. But we did all the things that that it showed, just not necessarily in that order. But in that sense, it was quite fun, really, because it was quite small town New Zealand. You know, like, I turned up there and personally knew a quarter of the a third of the cameramen and all the most of the backstage people. Like, I'd either work with them in events, or a lot of them are based out of Wanaka and adventure consultants and safety people. So it was quite hilarious, a small town. And then Regs is on there. Like, you knew that, we knew that already. And then the boys, well, we do a little bit in Lake Highway Station, so knew of them. So that was really neat to get to know them. They really represent the youth in a positive. Yeah, they're great. They're great. I mean, I shouldn't even call them kids. They're not. They're young men. Great, really awesome. And super stoked. So, pardon?
Are they great?
Great. No, they are. They're great. So it is. It's awesome. But yeah, no, it was just quite funny, isn't it? New Zealand, it is a small world, really. When you turn up and you're like, oh wow, this is really, really small. It is a small world. But yeah, no, it was fun. It was fun-ish.
It portrayed the teams pretty accurately too, guys. What you saw was pretty much what you got, especially with some of those other teams that the reunited couple, Simon and Caroline. That's pretty much what they were like 24/7, even off camera and away from the camera. She was pretty. How would you say it, Emily? Dominant.
I don't know why you're banging on others here, but I'm the humanitarian. I feel like it's actually really sad the way they, pick out, that choose to focus on only the negative moments. And actually, some of these teams were really doing quite well.
Because they didn't have any positive moments, those two.
Well, it got edited kindly, is all I could say. But I actually think Regs is a lot funnier and more robust than they put him out to be, though. When we saw that semi-final, I don't know about you guys, but I was over the blister, just like him. It's bad, isn't it? These mums are looking around like, no. But yeah, the blister situation was blown out of proportion. But what they didn't show enough is his ingenuity to come out to work through that, which is actually a really cool resilience little lesson as well. So even though it looked like he was sitting there just feeling sorry for himself, I think he did, which didn't really get shown that much, is think, okay, problem solving, thinking out of the box here. I've got this blister. It's not going to go away in the next 2 days or 1 day. We've got to run around here. So let's do something. I've got a knife on me. Did you? You had a knife, obviously. Yep. And he cut the boot so that the blister was kind of free of its kind of chafing, rubbing against the sock, obviously, and the back of the boot. And you wore it, didn't you? You wore it with a hole in it. And I just thought that was quite a neat. I don't know why they didn't choose to kind of probably more think about that. It was more just the drama of like, oh, are they or are they not going to keep moving? But obviously they did. And I just thought that, there was quite a neat little moment. There's a lot of that happened in the show, actually, because I think we can both agree on this. The physicality of the show, sure, yeah, we're quite used to running around in the bush and, untracked terrain, but it was more the psychology of being tracked that was super intense. Like you could not imagine not having any control over, it doesn't matter how well you're navigating, how well you're thinking tactics. Oh, look, we've got to be in the lee side of this because they might be, got to be in the trees and thinking about all those things. It was more the fact that at any time, randomly, they could be in front of you or behind you or beside you, to the north, to the west, to the east. You didn't really have much way of knowing a lot of the time where they were. And that was a real mental game, the whole time being like, you make a decision and you just can't really back yourself on it. Well, you try to, but that actually, who knows who's going to be down this river or along the spur. That took a bit to get used to, personally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but again, I suppose another thing like life, sometimes you just got to back yourself and do what you got to do in the moment and realize that you got to live with no regrets in that sense where you've made a decision and realize that it was the best. You made a decision with the best intentions and the information that you had at the time, and that's all you can do. And I suppose, again, another lesson, I suppose, for me, again, was that you could look back and you could blame yourself and you could get hard on yourself and you'd be like, oh, I should have done this and I could have done that. But really, to give yourself a pat on the back in that moment and be like, look, you just did what you could do in that moment, and that's how it ended up. You could definitely have done that for a few of those episodes, but it was just being a little bit less hard on yourself, which I'm sure the youth have to learn too, and in lots of ways. Got to, like Regan's already touched on, he's pulled out some cracker quotes that well, not the quotes, they're like, they're great. Anyway, enough from me. I'm prattling.
No, look, honestly, the event is fantastic. Obviously, just before we wrap it up, I'm just a bit conscious that it's now 8:15. Has anybody else got any other questions before we finish up? No, it doesn't look like anyone else has put up their hands. All right, guys. Well, I guess we'll just say thank you, Regan and Emily, for coming on tonight. It's been absolutely fantastic. I did hope that we would have had a few more join us on the live stream, but we do have some families that have asked for the recording to be sent to them. So even if anybody that is on the live stream tonight, if you know somebody that has missed it or they're interested in the recording, just obviously get them to touch base with me in the Otago branch and I can get the recording sent out to them. So again, Regan and Emily, on behalf of Diabetes Otago, and obviously there were some other youth coordinators on here throughout the country. Thank you so much for what you've said, and I certainly have learnt quite a bit, obviously about you both as people, and obviously your diabetes journeys as well. And I think it has been really inspiring to hear from you guys, and I certainly hope that the youth that have been listening tonight also have learnt a little bit about motivation and resilience, and basically not letting anything stop you or hold you back from achieving your goals and your dreams. So yeah, thank you guys. It's been an absolute delight to have you, and hopefully we might be able to do this again once we find out what other shows that you've been on and see where you go with that.
Absolutely. Thanks, Paula. Thanks to all the youth. Don't ever be ashamed, and to the parents, keep fighting the good fight.
Absolutely.
Mic drop, mic drop.
And all the best, guys, for your new show. I really look forward to seeing what it is, and watching you hopefully succeed on that one as well.
Thanks, Paula. Cheers, team.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks,
Good night,
everyone.
everybody, and thanks again for joining us.
Beauty. Cheerio.